When a crime is committed inside a country's borders, that country's courts usually handle it. But what happens when the crime is so massive, so systematic, that the courts involved are either unwilling or unable to deliver justice? What happens when the perpetrators are the ones in power? That question is exactly why the world built an entirely new kind of court, and every July 17th, we mark the day it was born. World Day for International Justice, also called the Day of International Criminal Justice, or marks the anniversary of one specific moment. On July 17, 1998, delegates from 120 countries gathered in Rome and adopted a treaty called the Rome Statute. That treaty created something the world had never permanently had before, a standing international court built specifically to prosecute individuals, not countries, individuals, for the very worst crimes humanity commits against itself. This idea didn't appear overnight. After the Second World War, the world held two landmark trials, one in Nuremberg, Germany, one in Tokyo, to prosecute leaders accused of atrocities and crimes against humanity. It was one of the first times in history anyone had faced international prosecution for crimes of that scale. But here's the catch. Those courts were temporary, built for one moment, then dissolved. For the rest of the 20th century, whenever mass atrocities happened, the world had to build a brand new tribunal from scratch every single time. The Rome Statute changed that. It created the International Criminal Court, the ICC, the first permanent international court of its kind, headquartered in The Hague. Instead of building a new tribunal after every tragedy, the world now has one standing court, ready at all times. It officially began operating in 2002, once enough countries had ratified the treaty. And it exists for one core purpose: to make sure that the worst crimes never go unanswered simply because no court was willing to hear the case. The ICC's authority is narrow on purpose. It doesn't handle everyday crime. That's still the job of national courts. It focuses on exactly four categories: genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and the crime of aggression, meaning one state unlawfully invading another. These are considered the gravest offenses recognized under international law, the ones the drafters of the Rome Statute agreed no individual should ever be able to hide from, regardless of rank or position. Here's a detail people often miss. The ICC doesn't compete with national courts. It operates on a principle called complementarity, which basically means it only steps in when a country's own justice system is unwilling or genuinely unable to prosecute a case itself. It's designed as a backstop, not a replacement. And importantly, it prosecutes individuals, not nations. Generals, officials, and leaders, not entire populations. As of 2026, 124 countries have ratified the Rome Statute, formally accepting the court's jurisdiction. That's more than half the world. It's not universal. Some of the most powerful countries on Earth still haven't joined. And that gap remains one of the court's biggest ongoing challenges. But for the nations that have signed on, it represents something remarkable: a shared agreement that some crimes are everyone's business, not just the business of the country where they happened. International justice sounds powerful in theory, but it runs into a hard limit. The ICC has no army, no police force, no way to physically arrest anyone. It depends entirely on member states to make arrests and hand suspects over. That means someone can be formally charged by the court and still walk free for years simply because no country is willing or able to detain them. This is the single biggest criticism of the system: powerful accountability on paper, but real enforcement only when the world actually cooperates. For the people affected by these crimes, an international trial can mean something even beyond punishment. It means an official, global acknowledgement that what happened to them was real, was wrong, and was seen. Even an imperfect court sends a message no silence ever can: that survivors are not forgotten and perpetrators are not beyond reach forever. Even if reach takes years, that message alone has power, whether or not every single case ends the way justice would demand. On July 17th, take a moment to think about what it actually takes to hold power accountable on a global scale. Not perfectly, not instantly, but persistently. That's the entire idea behind this day. Justice doesn't have to be perfect to still be worth building. If this helped you understand the day a little better, hit subscribe. We break down a new global observance every week.